G'day, g'day, my name's Alan Gamble. Welcome to another episode of Aussie Box Office Charts, where lots of new releases to talk about, but nothing can compete with Spider-Man, so it should be a fairly short episode. Let's dive in. So, starting with the top 5, as always, Spider-Man Brand New Day stays at number 1 with $5.3 million in its fourth week of release, dropping another 43% for a current total of $76.7 million. That is the 8th highest grossing movie of all time at the Australian box office, and it's slowly moving up the chart. To get to the next spot, it's got to get to $81 million. I think it has that in the tank, so there will be a top 10 highest grossing movies of all time chart, and probably next week. The Odyssey at number 2 with another $2.8 million. Its 6th week in release, dropping 22%. For a current total of $56.9 million. Another super impressive amount. That is the 18th highest grossing movie of all time at the Australian box office. Our first new entry is Insidious Out of the Further, that opened with $1.1 million. We'll dive more into that franchise, but it's okay. It's not a franchise high, it's not a franchise low. The End of Oak Street goes down to number 4 with $770,000 in its second week of release, dropping 51% for a current total of $2.8 million. And rounding out the top 5 is Spa Weekend, which opened with just under $700,000 in spot number 5. Moving on to 6 through 10, Mutiny opens at number 6 with $540,000. We'll talk more about Mutiny, but that's a fairly low number for a Jason Statham-led movie. That could be fatigue, or it could be the fact that Amazon leaked the digital copy of that movie the day before release. So it could be multiple factors, but we'll compare that to other Jason Statham movies so we can see the impact of what Amazon might have done. I did go and see Mutiny at the cinemas, and I had fun with it, but it was exactly the type of movie you would expect. At number 7, we have the opening of Tony, that opened with $380,000. I also saw Tony on the weekend, and it was a pretty good movie. At number 8, we have the opening of Bethlehem Kundumba Unit, which is a Malayalam language romantic comedy out of India that opened with $300,000. At number 9, we have the Harry Potter Marathon that brought in $225,000. I'm not sure how that was priced, whether you bought one ticket and you got access to multiple movies, or you had to buy tickets to every movie. I'm not sure, but that's how much that special event brought in on the weekend. And rounding out the top 10 is Kung Fu Soccer, which opened with $200,000, and that is a Chinese language sports comedy movie. So, Insidious first up. This is where the latest Insidious movie, I said it wasn't a smash hit, it also wasn't a bomb. It opened with $1.1 million, and if we compare that to the last movie, The Red Door from 2022, that opened to $1.5 million. But it is higher than everything else in the franchise. It's a fairly small horror franchise, but it's been doing okay. But moving back to Jason Statham-led movies, so this is Jason Statham-led movies. He's on the cover, he's on the poster, he's the primary face selling the movie. You can see there, Mutiny 2026 is half of what Shelter did earlier in 2026, in January or February. In fact, Mutiny opens so low, it's back around his 2012 numbers. And 2012 was before Jason Statham entered the Fast and the Furious. So that's why we have the spike with the Meg, because during 2012 to 2018, Fast and the Furious. If we sort high to low, we can see exactly how low down the order Mutiny opened. So there is no doubt in my mind that some of this is Amazon's fault, because if you've got a high-res digital copy floating around on the internet, a lot of people are going to watch it. A Jason Statham action movie is not The Odyssey. It's not Spider-Man. It's not a movie you need to go to the cinemas for a lot of people. I still did. I had fun with it, but I can understand why most people, it's like a put-on-at-home movie. Moving on to the 2026 top 10 at the Australian box office. No changes as of yet, just slight balance updates. Spider-Man Brand New Day at number 1 with $76.7 million, and The Odyssey comfortably in number 2 with $56.9 million. Michael at number 3 with $46.5 million. And Toy Story 5 at number 4 with $45.9 million. The Devil Wears Prada 2 at number 5 with $42.6 million. The Super Mario Galaxy movie at number 6 with $39.5 million. Project Hail Mary at number 7 with $39.3 million. Then we have a bit of a gap. Number 8, Obsession with $25.4 million, which is still an insane number for a movie of that scale. Minions and Monsters at number 9 with $23.3 million. The first good Minions movie, and it's the lowest grossing of the franchise. And Wuthering Heights rounding out the top 10 with $20.3 million. Moving on to upcoming releases, on 27th of August in wide release, a couple of big ones. The Dog Stars, the new Ridley Scott movie based on the Peter Heller novel and starring Jacob Elordi, Margaret Qualley and Josh Brolin. I am going to see that. I've already bought my ticket for Friday afternoon, so I'll be seeing that one on the weekend. The other wide release is I Want Your Sex, a new comedy movie from director Greg Akiri, starring Olivia Wilde and Cooper Hoffman. In limited release, so check your smaller and indie cinemas, we have Toxic, aka Toxic, a fairy tale for grown-ups, which is a Kannada language action movie out of India that's also expected to do big numbers because it can be found in Tamil, Malayalam and Telugu languages, all screening at the big chains. We also have Fast and the Furious, the 25th anniversary re-release of the classic street racing movie that kicked off a massive franchise. We have And Sons, a slow burn drama directed by Pablo Trepidoro, starring Bill Nye, and Your Letter, a Korean animated drama directed by Kim Yong-hwan. In streaming releases, we have The Whisper Man, a new crime thriller directed by James Ashcroft, starring Adam Scott and Robert De Niro, and it releases on Netflix on the 28th of August. We also have The Runner, a thriller directed by Kevin MacDonald and starring Gal Gadot and Damian Lewis, and it releases on Amazon Prime on the 2nd of September. As a series, we have Possession, a new mystery series from creator Carla Crome, starring Johnny Lee Miller and Gugu Mbatha Raw, and it releases on Binge on the 27th of August. In returning series, we have Dark Matter returns for its season 2, and no, this is not the original sci-fi series from like 2015. This is a new sci-fi series on Apple TV Plus, and its season 2 releases on the 28th of August. And finally, we have Adults. This comedy series is also back for its season 2 on Disney Plus on the 28th of August. So, 4 movies for this week's theme of Mystery Person, since 3 of the 4 movies I went to for the cinema didn't meet the theme. But let's dive into what did. First up was a rewatch of 2002's The Bourne Identity, directed by Doug Liman and starring Matt Damon, Franka Potente, and Chris Cooper, giving us a spy thriller that starts with a man being pulled from the ocean with bullet wounds and no memory of who he was. This was great as always. It's tight, it's fast and furious with some great writing and some great action sequences, and it holds up very well. Just an all-round great movie. Next up was the only cinema for the trip that did match the theme, Mutiny, directed by Jean-Francois Richet and starring Jason Statham and Annabelle Wallis, the latest Jason Statham action movie, the second for 2026, and one that was hilariously leaked by Amazon online. But I still went to see it at cinemas because it felt like a good Friday after work movie. And yeah, it was a fun time, nothing super incredible. It's a Jason Statham action movie, so you pretty much know what you're getting, and you're getting exactly that. Next up was a rewatch of a movie I watched earlier in 2026, The Witch Part 1, The Subversion, directed by Park Hyung-jung and starring Kim Da-mi, Cho Min-soo, and Park Hee-sun, telling a simple story of a girl that starts getting stalked by a mysterious group after appearing on TV. A rewatch of this one aligned perfectly with me buying it and paying way too much for it on physical media. But what a difference a fully lossless movie are. Stunningly gorgeous, and this movie is one I've come to love in a very, very short time. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's just a great movie. Finally was another rewatch of 1982's First Blood, directed by Ted Koshoff and starring Sylvester Stallone, Richard Crenna, and Brian Dennehy. A stranger passes through town and catches the attention of the local sheriffs before escaping into the woods. A true timeless classic that is by far the best of the franchise. One strange one where all my mates are in universal agreement that it's a great movie, where normally there's always one person that will disagree, but First Blood is a universally appreciated movie, at least within my circles. Great movie, love to rewatch it, great time. This week's challenge is more than 2 legs, so it's a fairly simple one. So things like Reservoir Dogs would count because there's dog in the title, dog has 4 legs. So a few people have kicked it off with things like Arthur the King, or Secretariat, Ants, or Them. We've got a few suggestions like Arachnophobia, Enemy, Eight-Legged Freaks, Reservoir Dogs. Let's have a look at my shortlist. My shortlist consists of The Dog Stars, obviously, perfectly timed, Dungeons and Dragons, The Deer Hunter, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Dog Day Afternoon, a rewatch of Coco or Flow. So yeah, we've got lots to choose from. We'll see how we go. That is it for me this week. Tune in next week where we have The Dog Stars. I will be catching it on the weekend, and then next week we will be comparing its opening, however well it does, to all of Ridley Scott's movies, and he has some bangers. He has some hits, he has some misses, but when he hits, oh boy can he hit. But we'll see if the Dog Stars can topple any of the Titans from the top 2 spots, whether it be The Odyssey or Spider-Man or both. We will find out next week, and we'll see how we go. But until then, watch more movies. Bye.